welcome to the podcast. Very excited to have a return guest today, Joe Sanfelippo, Dr. Joe Sanfelippo, superintendent at Fall Creek in Wisconsin. I can only say that for about another month because Joe's making a transition and he's going to talk all about it in today's episode. We're also going to really chat through his book, Lead from Where You Are. It's available now. It's been out and it's doing very well. It's an incredible read. Leading into the summer months, this would be a great time to grab your copy and consider reading that as a leadership team in your school or district. I think it would be a great tool. You're going to laugh. I don't think you're going to cry. And then you're going to find out a little bit why Joe might have a beef with me and the color of my book that just came out, which, by the way, Joe was nice enough to write the intro to that book. What's really cool and what we talk about in today's episode is, social media and really consistently telling your story is really built on systems. We're leaning into the summer months. And if you don't have a great system for consistently telling your stories, my new book, Social Media for Schools, is a great great tool to help you build that system because my first whole section is all about building systems. And so you can grab that now. It's available on Amazon, and you can also go to socialschool4edu.com/book and check that out. Now let's get to this week's K-12 PR tip. All right, this week's K-12 PR tip, because we are leaning into the summer months, is just talking about summer posting frequency. I often get this question and somebody's like, hey, Andrea, it's summer. How often should we be posting? Okay, not as often. You're probably not going to post as often in the summer as you do during the school year because there's probably less activity. If you have summer school, you want to be telling people about that, okay? If you have some regular features that you usually do, you can keep doing that. You could do a question of the week. You could do a throwback Thursday. If you're doing any staff and student features that you could still continue through the summer, do that. What we say with our team, because remember, we manage social media for 86 different school districts right now across the country. We tell our team we'd like to try and get 3 posts a week. We're not even posting once a day necessarily. If you have enough content to post daily, you could, but we don't force stuff, right? Your community deserves a little bit of a break, and that's okay. So I'd say at least 3 times a week, you'd want to try to be posting on Facebook. Twitter and Instagram, it just depends how big your following is there and how often you would post there as well. But it's not going to be as often. So I hope this helps, kind of set up because you really do. And I'm a big proponent in believing in work-life harmony. You deserve a little bit of a break as well. You're going to get into some back-to-school information, even though we often say don't use social media for information. During the summer, sometimes you have to. So that's okay. You're going to be sharing some of those important things like the school supply list and those types of bits of information that people want to get a hold of. Don't be afraid to share that out, but also you can share some things behind the scenes, right, of what's happening at your school. Definitely your maintenance crew is doing big things. So it can be less, but there are still some great things to share. So I hope that little tip helps. Now we're going to get into a really fun and interactive conversation with Dr. Joe Sanfelippo. Hang on.
There you go.
We've got a name that you might recognize. Joe Sanfelippo is in the house. How are you, Joe?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me today. How are you?
I'm really good. I
Look at you
finally
out here
joined.
just killing it.
Yeah, I joined your
Just
group.
killing it everywhere you go.
Well, it's because I hung out with you back when I started in 2014, and some of your energy rubbed off on me.
Yeah, we're way past that. Just
So
some. Now you're way over the top of it. No, I was just there to listen, man. That was it. You were fantastic before you even met me. So it was fun. It has been so fun to watch you and your company grow and know where you started and to be able to see the things that you are doing right now and impacting people across the country is really special. So before we even get started on some of the stuff that's going on, I just want to say congratulations because you have made an incredible impact on hundreds of thousands of kids at this point. So So thank you for that. I think anybody working in schools should connect to you and to your group. Andrea working with us in Fall Creek, and she's phenomenal. I mean, the people you have working with you are just crazy incredible. And so kudos to you. But what a journey! What a ride!
Yeah, it has been a ride, and I didn't think it was going to end up here, but I wake up every day so grateful
Yeah,
for what I get
yeah.
to do, and the amazing people that I've surrounded myself with on my team, but the great people that I get to serve
Hmm.
across the country too. And you do that as well. So you've got, some changes coming up. So if somebody's been living under a rock and they don't know who you are, why don't you just give us some background and then maybe lead into a new announcement that you had just made recently?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I've been the superintendent in Fall Creek for 12 years, and it has been the most incredible 12 years I've ever had. And it is without hesitation the best thing that's ever happened to me professionally. And outside of my wife and kids, the best thing that's ever happened to me in ever. So they are unbelievable people, and I have had so much fun celebrating the work that they do. And I'm not the best superintendent that people are going to hire, but I'm the loudest person on earth. And the fact that I get a chance to shout about what they do on a regular basis is humbling to say the least. And so, yes, that's been 12 years. And it's just right now, it's just somebody else's turn. And people ask me all the time, they're like, well, why really though? I mean, like, what's really going on? I'm like, I'm sorry. I wish I had a better story for you. We have incredible people. Our families are awesome. Our board is great. We have no debt, no post-employment benefit debt. We have all of our buildings renovated. I mean, there's like it's I could stick around for a couple years and be fine. But why when somebody else could get a chance to do it and see the joy that somebody new has in going through the process. I mean, I think we owe it to ourselves to have somebody else take on what we've built and, hopefully continue to grow it in a way that we never thought possible. So that's kind of what we're doing over the course of the next, I don't know, this will be our last year in Fall Creek. And at that point, we'll figure out what we're going to do along the way. So I don't know if you had any openings over there for, content management. We'll see what we got.
Yeah, I think your schedule is probably pretty full, but hashtag go crickets. You've taken the mighty crickets and
Yeah.
you've made them almost a worldwide phenomenon
Mm.
through social media. And you've been at Fall Creek 12 years, which is way past like the average tenure of I think 3 years for a superintendent,
3.
right?
Yeah.
And that's a testimony to your leadership and to the district. Like you said, it all kind of wraps in and works together. So that's incredible. So you're feeling good leading into the 23-24 school year without coming back as a superintendent.
No, not at all. Actually, I would no, not at all. It's just weird. It just is weird right now. Like I can totally understand. Like if you go to another state, people will like put in their resignation and then leave 2 weeks after that. And I thought, well, that's totally selfish. Why would anybody do that? And now I'm thinking to myself, that's a heck of a good idea. I mean, because now it's just everything's just weird. What decision is mine? What decision is the next superintendent? We are we are so lucky. The next superintendent has been in our building for the last 6 years. Brad Saransky is his name. He's been there. He's been wonderful. We just hired a new high school principal out of Eau Claire. Trevor Colip will be joining us he's been the principal at Memorial and the athletic director in at Memorial. So coming out to Fall Creek, when we started having conversations about some of the stuff that he'll be able to do out there, it was just a really cool thing to see the difference between big school, small school, and we're really excited about that. So I think it's just a weird feeling right now, and I'm not looking forward to. I try not to think about what the last couple of weeks are going to look like because it's not that I won't be busy, and it won't. It's I think it won't hit me till like mid-September because during the months of June, July, and August, I'm often out speaking anyway. And then I just try to do stuff when I'm there, to make sure that we keep up with the school district stuff. But I think it's going to hit me in September, like, well, that's just not your spot anymore, man. And what's a weird feeling, but we're staying, we're not moving. And my daughter's a sophomore right now, and she was very clear about what the next step is for us. And she said, she goes, Dad, I don't care what you do. And then she said, but I don't need you walking around this house in some other school's colors. Okay, I guess we won't be a superintendent for a while then, will we?
I love
Anybody who
it.
knows Allie knows that she kind of runs the show, and I'm pretty scared of her. So I just want to make sure that we get we don't upset her, because I don't need that in my life.
Exactly. And she's quite the athlete. It's track season now, and that girl's like almost jumping
Yeah,
18 feet in long jump. That's crazy. She gets
that's
her
right.
athletic ability from her
She's doing
mom,
okay.
but
Her mother, without hesitation. It's me. She gets her loud mouth from me. I mean, yeah, we got to,
okay,
Andrew. We got to get two. You got to be able to be from both spots, right?
for
Like she
sure.
can get the athleticism from her, but for me, she's just really loud and a little bit annoying sometimes. And that's me. That's 100% me right there. So I'll take credit for that all day.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about your book here. And I don't even know if this is your latest book because you've read, you've written so many. Um, but lead from where you are, building intention, connection, and direction in our schools. And this is a great book. I really recommend that everybody go out and grab your copy. You're speaking to a lot of audiences about this book. Who's this book for?
Yeah. That's a great question, and I think it's for me. It's and everybody leads in some capacity. If you lead, two people or four people, or a classroom or a school or a district or an organization, um, it's for anybody who leads. And I think that we have to really consider ourselves all leaders in some capacity. So the book is really designated to help you as the leader develop momentum, because the thing, like in schools, if we're in charge of taking care of kids, who's in charge of taking care of the adults who are taking care of the kids from a teaching standpoint? But then who's in charge of taking care of the adults who are taking care of the adults who are taking care of the kids? And that's not too many people. So if we can build momentum for the leadership, then we don't have that 3-year turnover all the time. I can all the things that we've done in Fall Creek have come because there's been a group of people willing to know and understand that we're in a situation together on some level, and everybody's got a piece of how it works. And so if we can put everybody in that spot by making sure that they feel like that, then they're going to be in a better situation. So that's what the book does. And the book is really, it was for me to reflect on the stuff that I messed up, and I messed up a ton. I mean, and I continue to mess up a ton. But this is for people that, so they don't make the little mistakes that I made in starting the leadership journey from a classroom perspective, and then from a school perspective, and from a district perspective, and honestly, what the balance looks like when you go home to the people that you care about, and then they get the least of you because they give you the most latitude. So all of these things are in there in terms of how you can lead more productively, more efficiently, but also with more joy. And I hope that people walk away reading reading the stories and leaning into the stories, and then finally taking away some joy from the work that they do, because that's hard to come by sometimes when we're always being put upon in terms of the work that we do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of flipping that script of what do I have to do and what do I get to do? Like when you say what do I
Yeah.
get to do today? It's amazing at what you get to do.
Hmm.
Some things you do have to do, but so looking at your
Right.
book, every chapter kind of ends with some questions to consider. I'm wondering, are there some leadership teams that are using this book kind of as a book study to help impact the culture and kind of the leadership mentality of their teams?
Yeah, so what we did, the book is honestly, like, I am not a writer at all, but I do like, and I write the way that I talk. And so I started, this book has been like literally in the works for like 4 years at this point. And I never got to the place where I felt like it was ready. And so what I started doing was, instead of writing, I started walking to work and doing little leadership videos on my way to work. And then all of the stories, or all the components of those walks, are in the book. And so what we've done is, if you go to leadfromwhereyouarebook.com, there's the whole concept of the why, the what, and the how, and it breaks the book into different sections. And then in each of those sections, the why, the what, and the how, all of the walk to work videos that impacted or influenced that particular area of the book are all there. So each area, what, why, and how, probably has about 30 different walk to work videos in each one of them. And then designated, there's designated questions from each one as well. But I try to take the thinking out of it. You shouldn't have to create your own book study. It should be just there. Like, get to the content and have the conversation. And I think I've done a lot of book studies. There's been a lot going on. I'm doing one this summer, actually. That's a national book study, and it's through Alliance for Education. And so we're starting with library media specialists. And so we have, hundreds of people that are going to be involved in a book study over the course of the summer, just on how they can lead from their particular area. But a lot of school districts are using it just to kind of start their year. The videos that are associated with it, people seem to like. So I think it's been really fun to see the reaction to all of those pieces and what we can do to make sure that that people feel better about the work that they do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just, we're going into summer right now, and I want all my listeners grab this and then see if you can work on it. Not that you need a guided book study from Joe, but it sounds like there's an opportunity to. But
There
that it
is
could
absolutely.
really, yeah, but it could really help drive the conversation because obviously you talk about celebrating the work and
Mhm.
sharing that with, through social media. You've been such a cheerleader of that. And, after some pretty crazy years, like we couldn't predict what happened in 2020, but it does feel a bit like we're starting to get back to truly celebrating our schools again. And I've been
Mhm.
able to see that firsthand. What do you see schools doing that you think they should continue to do?
Well, one of the things I think is really important, and I mean, I could plug your company all day because of what you've done for us, but I think a lot of times what ends up happening is they just kind of they do it by, they celebrate by feel almost like, oh, I'm emotional right now, so I'm going to put 3 posts out, and then the next thing you know, it's 3 days later and they haven't had anything out there. I think the analytics are really worth looking at, and if you can have some consistency in delivery, then you're going to get more momentum. And then when you get more momentum, then all of a sudden you put yourself in a position where more people want to see the great things that you're doing. So I think being consistent in the process is truly important. The other thing is, the stories are everywhere, and we walk past a ton of stories to get to the next thing on our list. And if we figure out ways to make sure that we don't walk past stories, now all of a sudden we put ourselves in a situation to make sure that those stories get recognized, acknowledged, and extended, which is essentially what we talk about in the book, is how many times we walk past great things just to get to the next thing on our list. So I think if you are in a leadership position in from a classroom perspective to a building perspective to a district perspective, I think schools have to be really cognizant about what they're walking past to get to the next thing. And the thing that they're walking past, more often than not, is something that could be celebrated in a fashion that allows everybody to really move forward.
And you take the picture when it happens, and then once you get done with your meeting and you've gone to the bathroom and you've gotten a chance to eat something, because that's a
Yeah.
rarity, I know, then you can worry about having to post it, right? But you got to catch it in the act.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's really hard to tell that story, or it's harder.
Yeah, I think the other thing though that people don't understand is that it doesn't always just have to be you. I mean, half of
Right.
the stories that I tell, even the stories I told, like probably 8 stories an hour ago to a group in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. 6 of those 8 stories came from people who were willing to share a video with me that I wasn't there for.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it doesn't have to be all you. And I'll be really honest, if you feel like it is, you're going to be in trouble because you're not going to be able to get to everything. And then when you just celebrate certain things, people are going to think that you like them more than you like other people, or conversely, that you like other people more than you like them. And so that ends up being the problem in the process. And one of the things that you've taught me in working with your organization is that the consistency in making sure that all pieces of the building are celebrated in some capacity. And I think that if we try to do that alone, you're going to be in a really, really tough situation. So use people. And here's the thing, we do that whole, the celebrating the stuff online is only the first part. Okay. Because once you do that, If you're looking at it from a position from leadership in your building, it's great to celebrate that stuff, and it's great to see the analytics, and it's great to see the comments, and you're getting a lot of people that are commenting. A lot of the same people are commenting and everything that goes along with it, and that's fine. There's no issue with that. But when you, as the leader in the school district, can use that post as a way to make a connection with something that you didn't see, now you create more value for the connection that you have with the person doing the great things, right? So if I see that Marcus Wallleitner in our high school was posting some great stuff that are happening in his chem class, and I can't be in his chem class, but at the same time, I can make sure that I see the great stuff. Well, I'm going to go make sure that I have a conversation with him about the stuff that I saw online, because now we've got a conversation starter. And it also happens when you're not as connected to people in the organization, and if you don't have a great connection or a great relationship with somebody in the organization, but you see something online, it gives you a conversation starter that closes the gap if you're not there all the time. It doesn't mean you have to be in all those spaces. It's better if you can't be, but at the same time, you can't be there all the time in for all the great stuff. So you have to leverage those conversations, and leverage the post in a way that extends the conversation.
And to expand on that even further, you're looking at it from the leadership perspective, but think about the culture and your whole organization being able to recognize and
Oh
see
yeah.
what each other are doing, right? Because obviously you're huge on that, and everybody is supporting everybody else, but oftentimes you're in your zone. So then it's really cool when a teacher that's teaching first grade is seeing what those eighth graders are doing in their English class, and maybe you can make a connection there when you don't always have all of the time to do it in person, just like the leaders. It really can kind of transform the culture, the community, everything.
Well, I'll tell you this, Andrew. We have done one thing better than any group I've ever been around in Fall Creek, Wisconsin. And honestly, I truly believe, without hesitation, it is the thing that makes us different. I really believe that it costs us $0, right? But we live, and it's in the book, we live in an organization that consistently recognizes great work, acknowledges great work, and extends great work. And that goes beyond social media. Okay. When I'm walking down a second grade hallway and I see a second grade teacher doing great things, and I walk into that second grade teacher's room to tell that second grade teacher that she's doing great things, I've recognized it and I've acknowledged it. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people do that. But when you extend the conversation to the eighth grade science teacher who has no business of being in the second grade hallway, and you tell the eighth grade science teacher about the great things happening in second grade, what inevitably happens is the eighth grade science teacher walks to the second grade classroom to tell the second grade teacher that she's doing great things. And the reason that he does it is because at some point somebody did it for him and it felt good. And that's what we want, is that we want it to feel. You can't get to good. Man, if you get to good, you give yourself a shot at great. It's hard to have a great day when you spill coffee on your way to work. It's easier to have a great day when you feel good about the work that's happening. And if everybody in your district is waiting for the principal or the superintendent or the school board to walk into your classroom and tell you that you're doing great work, you're going to be waiting a long time, because there's a lot of people to get to. It's better. It's better when the second grade team says it about each other and then extends it. I was in the hallway last week. I'm sitting in the hallway, and in a middle school hallway, and I'm having just conversation with a teacher. And then somebody came up to me and told me a story about one of their colleagues. And then another teacher came up and told me a story about one of their colleagues. Then the principal came in, told me a story about a colleague, right? Just standing in the hallway. Well, they're not dumb. They know what I'm going to do. They know the second that I hear that story that I'm going to go and make sure that the person that was being talked about knows they're being talked about. They know that. Mm-hmm. So now they are willing to say this. And the reason is, at some point, somebody did it for them. It's the simplest and hardest thing to do, because it's so simple to know that you're trying to acknowledge the great work that goes on around you. But it's so hard because you walk past so many things to get to what's on your list. So how do we change that conversation? And it really comes down to, are you willing to extend conversations to people who don't see great things because they're doing their own stuff? And that changes when you hear all the great things that are happening. And that's not even the outside looking in. I mean, that's inside looking out, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, we use these like positive behavior models for elementary students now in all of these schools, PBIS or whatever. It's an extension of that, but it works. Like you're
Right?
not just saying this because it's like some philosophical, you've seen it in the last 12 years
Absolutely.
transform your school district. And when you have great staff, you're going to have great students. You're going to attract more kids into your school district, and you're really going to thrive. And you guys have.
I think so. I mean, yeah, I think we have. But here's the thing, like, here's the thing. Fall Creek was great before I got there. And they're going to be great after I go. Like, so if more people know about Fall Creek because I'm loud, then that's great. But that's not what made it special. Here's the thing. Everybody know about spam, right? You've heard about spam. Spam's not special, but you know what it is, right? It doesn't make it special just because you heard about it. Okay. The great stuff there was great stuff happening in Fall Creek before I got there. And there's great stuff when I was in my interview for my job, for my superintendent job. And one of the board members said to me, I asked the whole board, how am I going to know if I'm successful? What's the metric? And one of them said, we have a lot of really great things happening here, but nobody knows them. And I said, I'm not the best superintendent you're going to hire, but I am the loudest person on earth. If there are great things happening here, I can promise you that people are going to hear about them. And I go back, I think about that every day. Every single day, I think about that. How can I make sure that one more person hears about the great work happening in Fall Creek, Wisconsin, than knew about it yesterday? And if I keep thinking about it that way, now we build momentum for what they're doing, because what they were doing was great before I got there, and it's going to be great when I go. So let's make sure that all these stories, and honestly, great things happen in, like, who am I talking to here, right? Great things happen in these schools all the time. So what are we doing to make sure that we don't feel like we're isolated and alone in what that looks like?
Yeah. Yeah, and I just got done writing my first book that kind of
Yes,
addresses
you did.
that.
Yes, you
It's
did.
called Social Media for Schools, and you were kind enough to write the foreword. So that I think was actually written and not one of your 1-minute walks to work, right?
No, not at all. Written. I
That was
wrote it. I absolutely wrote it. You know,
yeah.
well, I actually used Chat GPT for it, but it was a
I love it. As long as you can put in some strong Wisconsinisms in with that
either,
Chat
yeah,
GPT.
or no, yeah, or no, yeah. So I thought the book was brilliant, and I think one of the things that's important about it is it's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's exactly what it's supposed to be. It is supposed to help you try to develop a process that elevates and amplifies the great things that are happening. And the stories are phenomenal. The connections are great, but it's the process. Like, that's what you put into the book. It's the process. And in reading it, I kept coming back to there are things that, like, we're doing in the school district that I don't even know about. You just put the process in because that's what you do, and you're able to help people in that spot. And I loved it. I loved the book, and I'm so happy that it's doing well. And it should absolutely do well. So congratulations to you on that. And I do want to talk about the color. We've been talking about I mean, there's just the company color
Purple?
in particular. Though it's so Minnesota, and we have a hard time with that. I'm just going to tell you right
I
now. It's
know,
just
and
kind of like,
I married a Viking fan, and I'm a
uh,
diehard Packer fan, but you know
eh,
what? You know why I picked purple and green? Because I those are my
what?
colors. Because not many schools have
Yeah,
purple and green for their mascot. I mean, maybe there's
yeah,
some out there, but I just thought, well, I mean, some people have purple and white or purple and
right, right.
whatever. So
But
that
you're
is
right.
honestly why I picked it. And you know something? I used to have a purple Escort.
What?
Yeah, my
5 speed?
grandma,
Five speed? Hatchback?
no, it was what was it? It was a four-door little Escort that my grandma had, and when she passed away, I got that. We called it the
It
Easter
wasn't
egg car.
purple.
It was
It
purple.
wasn't purple.
It was too.
No. It was
I'm
eggplant. I had the same one. No, I had the green one. You it was eggplant. It was not purple. It was eggplant. There's a difference.
okay. Well, maybe my cover is eggplant then.
Is that
Um,
what it is? Well,
so
no, we're not. Don't you get past this right now? I'm not done with you on this. I'm not done with you on this. You say you're a diehard Packer fan. Okay. Now, have I seen you in Viking gear?
no, you haven't.
Have I seen you in Viking gear?
No.
Have you worn a Viking shirt? Have you seen? Have I don't. I haven't seen you a picture of you in Viking stuff. Yes, I
I
have. I'm certain I have.
I don't think I've ever worn a Viking shirt in my life.
What?
Yes,
Well,
so
you know what? Now we're back.
I'm
Now we're okay. See, we were gonna be in a huge fight, and then now we're not. But I could have sworn. Oh no, it's twins. I bet you have twin
oh,
stuff. You have twin
I
stuff. Was it
do
twin
like the
stuff that I saw
Minnesota
you?
Twins.
Okay, it was twins. It
Okay,
was
so
twin
now we're
stuff.
not
And
now we're
twin.
not getting
I'll be
along.
okay with that. We're not. We're not in a huge fight, but I'm not like you. It's not like you're off the Christmas card list, but you're on the if I have extra. So I
Right.
mean, that's kind of where that's where it falls right now. You're still okay.
So talking about books, are you working on any new books right now?
No, God, no, no, no. I'm working on. I do. Yes. Well, I shouldn't say it like that. Yeah,
Yes,
I am. But it's not really a. So Chip and Dan Heath wrote a book called The Power of Moments. Okay, and what they talk about in the book is the science of why people remember things about events and why they don't remember other things about events. And one thing really struck me in that book, and I asked Dan Heath. He actually wrote the foreword for Lead
yeah.
from Where You Are, and I was talking to him about it. And one of the things that really like just slapped me right in the face was this whole concept of people remember things that boost sensory, raise stakes, and break script. And so the next project that I'm working on is how do we break the script to make sure that people remember the things that happen in schools. And so we're going to talk about it. It'll probably start as a podcast and turn into a book or something. But I want to know stories from all over the country of people who are breaking, like we think about. So breaking the script would be this. So for me, it's really easy. If we hire a new teacher, right? I could call that teacher and I could ask the teacher if they want to come and join our team. And it's a really cool moment for him or her that I'm offering the job. And it's cool for me to do this. But you can break that script by not being the person to call. Like, what if the committee gets a chance to call? What if you bring that person in and create a moment for that person coming in that breaks the script and gives you a better chance to be remembered along the way. And we've been doing this, honestly, we've been changing the way that we interview job offers or doing job offers since 2006. So I wasn't even, in Fall Creek at the time. I was in Eau Claire. And we were going to hire a third grade teacher. Her name was Sarah Hansen at the time. And she was awesome. We had two other third grade teachers. And they kept asking me, when are you going to offer the job? 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 And I finally got to the point where I said, you know what? Why don't you just call her? Just call it. Why don't you just call her? You know what? You can call the people that didn't get the job too. I don't care. Like, well, if that's what you want to do, go ahead. So these two third grade teachers, walked into my office, and I stood right outside the office. I closed the door. They went inside, and I'm there with my secretary Betsy at the time, and Betsy and I are sitting there, and they go in with the phone number, and they start. And all of a sudden, I heard this some talking, and then I heard this scream, this unbelievable scream, and then I heard another scream, and these two women walk out of that office, and they're tears, and they're cheering, and they're so excited. And I turned to Betsy and I said, "I'll never not do it like this again, ever," because somebody was making that call. So why couldn't it be someone that we can make that they can have an impact and that they're going to remember too? So that's what I'm going to work. I'm working on, like, how can we break the script for stuff that we do on a regular basis so that it can be more memorable along the way. And so that I can promise you nothing's going to really take fold until September until I'm back. But right now we're just going to try to figure out what that looks like.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah,
That's gonna be incredible.
we'll
So,
find out.
now that you're transitioning a little bit. What's going to be the best way to stay connected to you?
Oh, I'd place honestly, you can go to the website or I just give people my phone number. Like it's 715-577-6623. Man, you call me anytime, you're gonna get a response. Man, we try to make it pretty easy to get connected because I do those videos and at the end of those there's almost 100 of those walk to work videos. I think there's 96 of them right now. And I'm hoping to get to 100 by the time I leave, but I don't know. I'm not going to do anything that's not authentic. So we'll see how it goes. But in every one of those videos, if you watch them, there are two things that you'll see. The first thing is that every one of them has 6 Fall Creek drops in every single one of those videos. Every one of them has 6 Fall Creek mentions. I walk past my car that's got a Go Crickets license plate. I always say Fall Creek, Wisconsin. I walk past the sign on my door. That's 3. There's one on my fence. That's 4. There's a sign on the wall walking into school. That's 5. And I always end by saying Go Crickets. So that's first thing. You see 6 Fall Creek drops in every one of those, right? The second thing is in the end of them, I always say we're all in this thing together. And we're all in this thing together doesn't mean we're all in this thing together when it's convenient to be all in this thing together. 715-577-6623. If you have a question, you call me and I'll try to get you the answer. And if not, I'll point you to Andrea, who will have the answer for you.
So it's the website is jsanfelippo.com. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep, that's right.
And then on Twitter at Joe_Sanfelippo.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, so we'll include that all in our show notes. Joe, thanks for taking the time to hang out with us. I know how busy you are. Listeners should know that, we're only about 60 miles apart.
Yeah.
But now you're just a stone's throw as far as a little cabin on a small little lake in northern Wisconsin. It's like 15 minutes. So I think it's going to be fun being able to see you and your family continue to thrive. And thanks for everything you do, for taking your energy and just serving so many school leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, like your book, it's not just the person with the title. Everybody is a leader. And thanks for doing the work that you do, because it's really making a big impact.
Well, we're trying, but just as importantly, thanks for all you've done. It's what you've done in our district in particular. I thought we were great storytellers. I really did. I thought we were doing a great job, but the way that your team has impacted our building is beyond substantial. And you have a tremendous amount to do with that. Even if you're not the one doing the stuff for the building, your team does it in a way that makes Fall Creek look very special. And it is. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, thank you. And our team appreciates that. Well, thanks everybody for listening in. Definitely follow Joe. And hey, if nothing else, you can prank call him if you don't have a question. But no, I really appreciate the time, and we'll see you guys next week with another great episode. Bye-bye.
Everybody, go Crickets.